Hello, my friends on YouTube. Today is Sunday, the 18th, I believe. I'm sorry, the 17th of August 2025. And today's video is Islam and chastity. Of course, when you look at especially Muslim women, they kind of like cover the head, cover the face, and sometimes even very small slit open for the eyes for them to see, and even the hands, the feet, everything is covered, and they attribute that to how modest and how chaste they are. Okay, we're going to examine that because many people don't know the past of what happened. Actually, reality is that cover was not meant for chastity. This to differentiate between the free person, the free woman, and the slave woman, or the slave, concubines, whatever you want to call it, that was taken as captive from war. So she may have been, like, for example, the woman whom the Prophet of Allah, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, her name was Safiya bint Huyay. This woman was actually the daughter of the chief of the tribe of the Jews, big tribe, and she was captured and she became a slave, and he can put his mark on her anytime, day or night. So she accepted him as a husband, otherwise she will be a piece of meat sold between his gang, and each one will take her for a while and do whatever he wishes to do with her, and then sell. Once he's tired or there's a younger fresh blood, he can trade her and pay the difference. So she accepted to marry the Prophet of Allah. That was to protect herself. So these people, men and women, have no right. So once a woman is a slave, taken captive, the second caliphate, he used to actually go to the market, and if he sees, because some women, slave or not slave, taken as captive or not, men and women by nature, we don't like to expose our bodies. So even though she been taken as a captive and now she is a slave and a servant and nonetheless she is a person, and she doesn't want to expose herself, so she covers. No, according to Islam, according to the Prophet of Allah, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, a man's private area is from the belly button until the knee. He can cover this part, and he can go out to the market and just wearing a pair of shorts, as long as it's from the belly button to the knees, is fine. But the same thing goes to the woman, the slave woman, or the captured woman. And if the second caliphate, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, Omar, if he sees a woman who has been taken captive and she is a slave covering herself, he will hit her with his whip. He will whip her, and he will tell her, are you trying to look like the free women, like our wives and our daughters? No, you are a slave. Remember your position. So it was not really because of chastity. No, it was because he wanted to differentiate between the free Muslim woman and the captive woman, whether she's a Jew, Christian, or from any other religion. It doesn't matter if you're not a Muslim and free Muslim. You have to, because you can be also a slave, a Muslim slave. You have to go out only covering yourself from the belly button until the knee. That's it. So the question here, are there poor women? I mean poor in terms of money, in terms of wealth. They are very pretty, very attractive. Yes, they are. Yes, there are. And probably more attractive than many wealthy women. What happens when this woman covers only herself from the belly button until the knee? Her stomach all the way up is showing. Is that, I mean, for any man, that is not appropriate to, especially if you are a teenager or a young person. It's not easy for these people to see that, whether she is a slave or a free woman. A woman is a woman. So why this happened? Because the second Caliphate Omar, he and his gang used to actually watch the women at the end of the day going out in the dark to relieve themselves in the open because they didn't have bathrooms. So many people used to go and watch them. And therefore, he suggested to the Prophet of Allah, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, that women, Muslim women, should actually cover. Why? So that people can distinguish them from other women. So you can harass the slave woman, nobody will tell you anything because she's a slave. You can touch her, she's a slave, no problem. Huh? You can hit her, she's a slave. But you cannot do that to a woman who is free. And normally this is a Muslim woman. That second Caliphate applied that, and Muhammad told him to, it's okay. So he used to hit a slave woman if she covers herself. And probably she didn't cover herself because she's in love with Islam. She been taken captive, but in her home, whether she was Christian or Jewish or what have you, she used to cover. So she's used to that. It's not that she is trying to imitate these women who are, I'm sorry, wives of gangsters or women of gangsters. Okay? Men and women by nature, we want to cover ourselves. I'm sorry, I can't remember if I said this is for adults only. Please, because we are coming to the important stuff, if I forgot to mention it's for adults only, this is, if there are kids in the room or some people underage, tell them to leave. We have hadith narrated by the Prophet of Allah that the best, I'm going to put that in the description box, the best of people, those who are contemporary, the best of men, contemporary to him, best people, and the lesser as you go on, people become lesser and lesser and lesser until now we are 1400 years later, we are in the very bottom. But the finest of people are those who were living in his contemporary time with him. Actually, as a rule, this is good because, for example, who would know, let's say, Buddha more than his followers that they followed him when he was alive? Who would know more about Moses other than Joshua and Caleb, the two most trusted people by Moses? Who would know about Jesus more than the 12 disciples? No one, because these people lived with their teachers and learn from them directly. And even if you take Einstein, let's say he had four main students that he himself raised up, and they walked behind him. They saw how he acted, how he approached every problem. What did he do about it and how? These will be the people to really get the more knowledge from them about Einstein. So as a rule, this is a very firm rule. Here, let's examine the people that disciple of the Prophet of Allah. Okay, we start with the four guided prophet. Here actually it's translated the four guided prophet, but if you really want to translate the word used in Arabic, it means like perfected. The four perfected caliphate. Four, they perfected their personality, they perfected their mind, they perfected their everything. They became perfect. And I wish somebody can explain to me, how can you become perfect? Because I don't know what perfection is. And these guys, just merely because they followed the Prophet of Allah for a couple of months or something, they became perfect. Wow. Okay. That is the four rightfully guided caliphate. Let's examine them to see how perfect they were, so that we can make a decision for ourselves. Okay, for example, we start with the first caliphate, Abu Bakr. This is the man who sold his 6 years old daughter, to a man who was 51 years old. And that man, he used to desire her sexually before she was 6. I am talking about myself. If I find out that one of my friends who is 50 years old desiring my 5 years old, because that's before 6, sexually, and wants to marry her, I'll kick him out. If I don't get even violent with him, I'll kick him out, and I tell him, I don't want to see your face ever again. But that's the first caliphate. Huh? He saw a 50 years old man or male looking at his daughter like that, and he gives the daughter to him to marry, to violate her. Let's talk about the second caliphate, Omar. This is the man who used to hit the women in the market, in case the slave women, in case if they are covered. This man also actually he gave one of his daughters to the Prophet of Allah to take care of her. And when he wanted to marry the daughter who was an adult, the daughter of the Prophet, also Abu Bakr, the first caliphate, he wanted to marry the daughter of the Prophet of Allah. He said, no, she's too young for you. She was 18. She's too young for you. But Aisha, who was 6, she was not too young for a 50 years old man. Male. Shouldn't say man. Uthman, the third caliphate. When he became a caliphate, the whole Muslim empire was in total corruption, because he put all of his friends, all of his relatives in power, so that all the money, the wealth, all the invasion money that they controlled, it went to their pockets. They became very wealthy, and the first caliphate was poisoned, the second caliphate was stabbed to death, the third caliphate was killed, the fourth caliphate, Ali, the nephew of the Prophet of Allah, may the blessing of Allah be upon him, he caused the worst war between Muslims, that tens of thousands of people were killed, killing one another, Muslim killing another Muslim in the name of Allah. These are the finest of people. who lived with the Prophet. Now we come to the son of the second caliphate, Omar. His name was Abdullah. Abdul. This Abdul, I'm going to put this in the description box. I'm going to read it also. Let's see what Abdul did. May the blessing of Allah be upon him. Let's see here. Abdul. Okay. I tried to find this in English. I guess it's too shameful, so there was no English to it. But soon, one day, somebody is going to translate that. In the beginning is so and so narrated to so and so to so and so. Let's go to the main thing. The merchant in the market said, I'm sorry, the slave merchant were in the market. They have some slaves, of course, to sell. And when they saw, listen to this, when they saw the son of Omar came, they said something very interesting. Omar has arrived. That means he was a regular customer. Omar has arrived. Okay? So Omar came closer to one of the slave girls in the market that he liked, and he touched something in this girl. Use your imagination what he would touch. I mean, if you touch, because they will speak of him touching between the breasts, touching the buttocks, but the first thing he touched, something. Use your imagination. What something he touched first? Okay? And then he asked, who is the owner of this merchandise? This girl, she's a merchandise, a human being, because her family or her tribe were conquered. She became a merchandise. Another hadith, the people narrating, there was a slave woman, and Abdullah, the son of Omar, put his hand on her buttocks area. Here they didn't say on something. They clearly said on the buttocks area. There is no English for that, so I'm going to put it in the description box. If you have somebody to translate it to you, if you don't trust my translation, go ahead. And between her thighs. Between her thighs. Okay? And perhaps also he lifted up her garment to see her legs, her thighs. And there are many of these hadith, one after the other, how it looks like he used to go to this market, the slave market, and once the merchant, I mean, they are doing business, the merchant, whether, look, if you are going to buy, let's say, marijuana or cocaine or any of these illegal things, and the seller knows that when you go there you spend quite a bit of money, he will greet you when he sees you. Every time you go there to buy something, he will greet you and probably put you a chair and tell you, hey, would you like some tea or coffee or something? Yeah, he's doing business. And the same thing with these people, the merchant, they used to like seeing the son of the second caliphate because he used to spend much money there. And some people were saying, yeah, but you see, back then there was slavery, and maybe he needed some women to help his wife or his wives at home. You know, that could be the case because Omar, his father, used to have women, also that I couldn't find it in English, women working at home for him who were half naked, all of their body part from the belly button up was showing. And they serve people and they work in the kitchen, they come to help people take dishes, put away dishes, bring dishes, and their breast is showing. Their whole body is showing. Some of them totally naked. She is a slave girl, a slave woman. She has no rights, so it's okay. You can look at her, you can touch her, it's okay. It's okay. Okay, these are the best of men. And it gets worse with time. So I am just examining these people who followed the most holy prophet, the prophet of Allah, what they were doing, and where should we, if we follow this nonsense, where should we be now? If we are getting worse and worse and worse, because his time was the best. The son of the second caliphate, Abdullah, son of Omar, he was in the contemporary time with the Prophet of Allah. So he was one of the best. Okay? So for those who are defending this nonsense, because I've been meeting Muslims and they try to show me how wonderful Islam is, especially these people from Louis Farrakhan group. They are trying to show me how wonderful the Prophet and the followers of the Prophet, they call them Sahaba, those, how perfected they were. When they see this video, please ask yourself how perfect this is. If these are the best of people doing this to a human being, to a woman, a human being, touching her in her private area as she's a piece of, if she's a carpet or a piece of cloth or a lettuce or something, these are the best of people. Huh? You are defending this teaching that came to us from this man, from this guy, person, 1400 years ago. I shouldn't say man. I really shouldn't. Okay? And that is not to upset anyone. A creature doing something like that should not be called a man or a woman or a human being, rather. So, this is the situation of the best of people. So, even you are looking at chastity as if a woman covers herself, even that is falling apart, because that covering was not because of chastity. That was just to discern between who is a slave woman and who is not a slave woman, so that people will not bother her, will not put their hands on her private area, will not grab her by the breast, will not put their hands on her buttocks, will not lift up her clothes and look at her legs and her thighs. That is why chastity, if the talk about chastity, you really shouldn't talk. Those followers of this person should not talk about chastity. Anyway, thank you very much. Please let's know what you think of that. Comment, share, and subscribe. Bye.